V8 in the muscle car era to the quiet hum of today's electric models, the story of Chevrolet in the United States over the years 1970 to 2025 is in many ways the story of American driving itself. In 1970, Chevrolet was firmly in its heyday, riding high on performance, style, and sheer volume. The third-generation Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 stood as a symbol of raw power, packing a 450-horsepower big-block V8. That same year, the brand set records in sales as the muscle car culture and the idea of "see the USA in your Chevrolet" captured the imagination of a generation. But the golden era came with challenges. The oil crisis of 1973, rising insurance costs, and shifting regulatory demands all pressured Chevrolet and its parent company General Motors to rethink strategy. In the mid-1970s, the brand began to shift from raw horsepower toward efficiency, comfort, and value, reflecting broader changes in the U.S. market. At the same time, the pickup and utility side of the business became increasingly important, as the CK trucks and later full-size pickups grabbed more of the American imagination. Moving into the 1980s, Chevrolet navigated through leaner times and a more global market. The compact era, increasing competition from imports, and the emergence of fuel economy as a consumer priority meant Chevrolet had to expand and adapt. At the same time, the brand kept alive its performance and heritage credentials with models like the Chevrolet Camaro and the Chevrolet Corvette. But perhaps more importantly, Chevrolet deepened its identity as the everyman's American car brand. Lots of models, lots of body styles, trucks, vans, sedans, everything. By the 1990s and early 2000s, Chevrolet's lineup reflected America's changing driving patterns. SUVs and trucks were growing in importance, sedans and coupes were facing a tougher market, and globalization meant that some models shared platforms worldwide. Meanwhile, reliability, safety, and value became more front of mind for American consumers. According to recent data, GM brands, including Chevrolet, earned 6 Most Dependable Model Awards in the U.S. Vehicle Dependability Study in 2025. The brand's heritage remained important, even as what people drove, how they drove, and why they drove began transforming. In the 2010s and especially the 2020s, the shift became more dramatic. Americans were buying fewer sedans and more SUVs or pickups. In fact, by 2023, the mid-size sedan market in the U.S. made up only about 8% of new vehicle sales. Chevrolet's own Malibu sedan, a model with roots tracing back decades, ended production in November 2024 as part of the company's pivot toward electric vehicles. By 2025, Chevrolet finds itself in a different environment altogether. Legacy brands lean into EVs. The meaning of American car is being redefined, and technology, sustainability, and global competition dominate the agenda. General Motors' nearly 115-year history is marked by many transformations, and Chevrolet stands at the crossroads. The brand still sells in more than 120 countries and still offers models that range from performance icons to value-conscious family vehicles. What does that journey reveal? First, longevity matters. Not many automotive brands can say they've been a central part of U.S. car culture for more than half a century. Second, adaptability is critical. Chevrolet shifted from muscle cars to fuel-conscious models, from sedans to trucks and SUVs, and now to electric powertrains. Third, identity and connection count. The idea that an American car could be a Chevrolet helped the brand weather changes in consumer taste, economy, and regulation. We can zero in on a few milestone phases to map the evolution. In the 1970s, the brand responded to the muscle era's end and the oil shock era by embracing smaller platforms and more efficient engines, but still leveraging its V8 heritage. In the 1980s and 1990s, it built volume, embraced new technologies, and competed on global terms. In the 2000s, Chevrolet reinforced reliability, broadened its SUV and truck footprint, and contended with changing consumer tastes. In the 2020s, the focus is shifting toward electrification, connectivity, and what the American car will mean in a warmer, more tech-driven world. Let's consider a few landmark models and moments along the road. The Chevelle SS 454 in 1970 is emblematic of high-performance America. The Monte Carlo, introduced in 1970 as a personal luxury coupe, represented Chevrolet's nod to lifestyle aspirations. The Malibu, long a staple of Chevrolet's lineup, shows both continuity and change, from a rear-wheel drive sedan of the 1970s and 80s to a front-wheel drive family car in its later years, and ultimately discontinued as the sedan market recedes. Meanwhile, on the truck side, the full-size Silverado became a pillar of the brand's future, one of its top-selling models, through multiple decades. The strategic shifts in Chevrolet's business tell a larger story. General Motors' "a car for every purse and purpose" philosophy, developed in the early part of the 20th century, is still visible in how Chevrolet offered everything from small economy cars to iconic performance vehicles. But that breadth forced complexity, cost, and globalization pressures. As competition intensified from international automakers and as regulatory demands for emissions and safety grew, Chevrolet had to reinvent itself. The rising importance of SUVs and trucks in the US and the decline of the mid-size car market pushed the brand's product strategy toward utility and away from traditional sedans. Then comes electrification. As of the mid-2020s, Chevrolet is actively aligning itself with a future where internal combustion engines may gradually recede and electric vehicles gain prominence. The discontinuation of the Malibu sedan in 2024 signaled more than just the end of a model. It represented how Chevrolet must balance heritage with future relevance. And the broader GM strategy emphasizes sustainability, digital connectivity, and global reach. For American consumers aged 35 to 85 watching this story, there's a resonance. Many of you may have grown up driving or hearing about a Chevrolet, from family station wagons and pickup trucks to the muscle coupe poster on the wall. The brand helped shape daily life, work lives, road trips, local commutes, and weekend adventures. The notion of American's car evokes more than just a badge. It evokes memories, mobility, independence, and the changing American landscape itself. As we look ahead beyond 2025, the question becomes, how will Chevrolet continue to define American's car? Will it still stand for mass market value in a world of premium EVs? Will it remain connected to everyday drivers, even as technology accelerates? And will the brand retain its uniquely American identity as manufacturing, supply chains, and market dynamics globalize? What remains clear is that the story of Chevrolet is deeply interwoven with the story of driving in the United States, and changing tastes, economic shifts, energy transitions, and cultural modifications all play a part. In that sense, the journey from 1970 to 2025 is less about a single model or moment, and more about transformation, resilience, and renewal. From raw horsepower to refined engineering, from sedans to pickups to EVs, Chevrolet has adapted to survive and thrive. And that's worth remembering next time you see a Chevy badge on the road, because what you're witnessing is more than a car. It's a legacy in motion.